Hi, welcome back to the Adventures of Room 106, Technology Style. Today's essential question is how can you determine the measure of an unknown angle by using a known angle? Today we will be using a strategy we've used many times this year, decomposing. Decomposing allows you to break things into pieces and then add them back together to create the whole. Let's start off with a decomposing question to get our minds thinking about putting pieces together. Jansen has two angles that equal an acute angle when added together. What could his two angles be? Hit the pause button on this video and take time to solve this problem independently. After about 5 minutes, be ready to share your answer with your elbow partner. Your answers will be different, but they both should have a sum that is equivalent to an acute angle. How did you do? Were you able to find an acute angle based off of your sums? Here is my example. On the left-hand side, you're going to see 22 degrees plus 43 degrees equals 65 degrees. All of these are acute angles, so that follows my guidelines. However, when I look at the second example, you're going to see 73 degrees, which is acute, plus 25 degrees, which is acute, but when I added those sums together, I got 98 degrees, and that was not following my guidelines. So that is not a good answer because my sum is over 90 degrees, which makes this angle obtuse. Let's dig deeper into today's lesson. Today we're going to find 3 ways that we can compose and decompose angles so that we can find the measurement of an unknown angle. The first one that we're going to look at is what you call an adjacent angle. That means that angles are side by side and they can be added together to find the measurement of the larger angle. So for example, in my picture, I notice that ABC is equal to 37 degrees because it's labeled for me. Angle CBD is equal to 25 degrees, and that is also labeled for me. However, the missing angle that I'm looking for is the bigger angle that's made when you put both of these angles together, which is angle ABD. So what do you think I have to do to figure that part out? I hope you got it. You are going to add those angles together. So when I add these angles together, I'm going to say 37 plus 25, carry my 1, I'm going to get 62 degrees. So that means that angle ABD is 62 degrees. In this example, we found the missing angle, which was the larger angle, by composing or putting together the smaller angles. Sometimes you know what the larger angle is, but there is an unknown angle that has been decomposed, which means it's taken apart. In this case, you will need to use subtraction to take away the part that is already known. When the angles are put together, their total is 120. Now, since I know that angle EFH is 64, I have to take that part away so that I am left with my missing angle, HFG. So when I subtract, ten take away 4 is 6. I'm going to have to borrow again. 11 take away 6 is going to be 5. I know that angle HFG is going to be 56 degrees. sometimes you will need to use things that you already know to find the unknown angles. So when you look at this picture, what do you already know? I hope you said that you noticed that the bigger angle, IJK, is a 90-degree angle. I know this because there is a square that is fit into the corner of that angle. Did you get it? I also know that one of the smaller angles, IJL, is 32 degrees because it's already labeled for me. So I'm going to have to take what I already know, that it's a 90-degree angle. I'm going to have to subtract the part that is given to me so that I can break it apart or decompose it and find the piece that is missing. So I'm going to take my 90 degrees, and I knew that just because I saw the evidence that this was a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to subtract 32 degrees from it. And I have to borrow. 10 take away 2 is going to be 8. 8 take away 3 is going to be 5. So that tells me that angle LJK is going to be 58 degrees. Let's practice decomposing and sometimes composing angles to find the missing or unknown angle. Remember that you will work independently first, but you should be ready to share your answers in the next 15 minutes. If you need to go back and watch the explanations, rewind the video to the previous section. Please go ahead and pause the video now so that the screen stops on what's in front of you. Go ahead and find the missing angles for all three sets. Alright, so let's go ahead and work through the practice problems to see how you did. First of all, we're going to find angle NLM. Now you notice that this was a 90-degree angle, and they gave you one of the angles, which was 65. So you had to take what you already knew about the larger angle, which was 90 degrees, and you had to decompose or take away the angle that you knew to be to figure out what you were left with. So when you did that, you found out that you were left with a 25-degree angle, which is the angle measurement for angle NLM. And this makes sense because it is an acute angle. For angle PSR, you had adjacent angles, which means that they were beside each other. So you were looking for the larger angle, so all you had to do was compose them by putting them together with addition. And then when you added them together, you got 130 degrees, which makes sense because this is an obtuse angle. You should always check your answers to make sure they make sense. For the third one, angle TUW, you were given the larger angle, which was 80 degrees, and you had to take away the angle that you were given, which was 43, and then once you borrowed, you found out that the other angle was 37 degrees. How did you do? I hope you got them right. Let's wrap up our learning today with another thinking question. If three angles are placed together so that they create a straight line, which is 180 degrees, and one of the angles is obtuse, what are the possible angle measurements of the other two angles? So what I want you to do here is you're going to give me three angle measurements. All of them should be added together to make 180 degrees. The requirement is that one of them has to be an obtuse angle. So what do you think the other angles are going to be? I would like for you to go ahead and pause the video. Remember that your answer will be different from your neighbor's answer, but the sum of your three angles should equal 180 degrees, with one of them being obtuse. Include a picture with your answer. If you finish early, think of another possible answer. Go ahead and pause the video. After 10 minutes, be ready to share your answer with your face partner. Now that you've shared your answers, I want to share my example. I have a picture here, and I know that it's a good example because the angles equal 180 when added together. This also meets the requirement of one of the angles being obtuse, which is my 125-degree angle. When I add the other angles in, which I hope you noticed that the other angles had to be acute, all three of the angles together made 180 degrees. So I just used the strategy of composing and decomposing to answer the question. Today you've learned how to determine the measurement of an unknown angle by using a known angle. Remember, you can rewind this video to watch the examples if you're confused about something. Until next time, happy decomposing.